Winter in the past was harsh, and central heating was a luxury few could afford. Families in older homes developed strategies that allowed them to survive and even thrive during the coldest nights. These methods combined practicality, resourcefulness, and an understanding of how heat behaves in a home. If you value historical insights and want to see how these approaches can inform modern preparedness, stick with me. Remember to subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, like this video, and leave a comment about which technique you find most useful. They used layered bedding strategically to trap heat. People in older homes were meticulous about their beds. A common setup involved multiple layers of blankets and quilts, often with a heavy featherbed or straw mattress at the base. The key was insulation. Every layer trapped air, which is a natural heat buffer. Many families placed flannel sheets closest to the skin, followed by wool blankets, and topped everything with quilts or thick coverlets. Some even added a folded blanket at the foot of the bed, forming a heat pocket for the feet. You can replicate this today by stacking blankets with differing textures and densities using wool or synthetic thermal blankets to create zones of heat retention. They used hot water and heating stones to warm the bed. Hot water bottles and heated stones were a staple. Stones were heated in the fire and wrapped in cloth before being placed under bed covers. This method released steady heat for hours, warming the bed before sleeping. Hot water bottles worked similarly and were often placed at the foot or sides of the bed. The principle remains effective today. Using localized heat sources can dramatically improve warmth without heating the entire home. Even modern substitutes, like microwavable heat packs, operate on this same principle. They controlled drafts and sealed windows with simple methods. Drafts were the enemy of winter comfort. Families employed strips of cloth, old newspapers, or even moss to fill gaps around window frames and doors. Curtains weren't just decorative. Heavy fabrics or quilts were hung at windows to act as insulators, often doubled at night. Floors were also treated. Rugs, sometimes even layers of newspapers, were used to reduce cold seeping from wooden planks. For a modern prepper, sealing gaps with temporary draft stoppers or insulating curtains can make older homes significantly warmer, proving that low-tech solutions still outperform modern quick fixes in many cases. They heated one room at a time and used the chimney strategically. Older homes rarely heated the entire house. Instead, one main living space, often the kitchen or parlour, was kept warm with a fireplace or wood stove. Heat radiated from this room into adjacent areas, and families clustered their activities around it. Bedrooms were often positioned above or adjacent to the heated area to benefit from rising warmth. Chimneys were maintained meticulously, not just for fire safety, but to maximize airflow. By keeping the fire going efficiently and closing dampers when the room was heated, families could retain warmth longer. You can apply this principle today with wood stoves, space heaters, or even by simply prioritizing which rooms to heat while using thermal barriers in unused areas. They relied on clothing layering and wool for personal warmth. Homes might be cold, but families dressed in multiple layers, particularly wool, even indoors. Long underwear, knitted socks and nightcaps were standard in winter. Wool retained heat even when damp, and layering allowed people to adjust comfort without relying solely on fire. Today, historical layering principles are still relevant. Using moisture-wicking base layers and insulating outer layers mimics the effectiveness of old practices without needing outdated materials. They used room zoning and temporary partitions to retain heat. Partitions were often erected within rooms to create microclimates. Screens, hanging quilts, or furniture arrangements helped confine heat where people slept or worked. By reducing the volume of air that needed warming, families maintained comfort more efficiently. This is a principle modern preppers often overlook. Even temporary setups, closing off hallways, using heavy curtains, or rearranging furniture, can drastically improve heat retention in older structures without altering the building itself. They incorporated thermal mass and retained heat from daily chores. Cooking and fires weren't just for immediate warmth, they were integral to heating the home. Ovens and stoves radiated heat long after the fire had burned out. Some families left bricks, stones, or ceramic tiles near the fire to absorb warmth and release it slowly overnight. Even mundane activities like boiling water for laundry or cooking contributed to the thermal mass of the home. Understanding and applying this principle today can reduce energy costs and increase comfort, especially in older homes with high ceilings or drafty areas. They optimized floor and wall coverings for insulation. Floor coverings weren't purely decorative, they insulated. Straw mats, rugs and carpets trapped cold from entering through wooden or stone floors. Wall hangings, tapestries and quilts served the same purpose, acting as additional layers of insulation while also reducing echoes and retaining warmth. This is a direct lesson for anyone living in older homes today. Soft, dense coverings improve both comfort and energy efficiency. They adopted strict night routines to conserve heat. Families prepared bedding, heated stones, and clothing before sunset, ensuring minimal disruption once darkness and cold fell. Activities were concentrated near heat sources, and everyone's movements were deliberate to reduce heat loss. Preparing in advance is as relevant today as it was a century ago. By creating a nightly heat management routine, you can maximize comfort without overloading heating systems. Incorporating these strategies can transform a drafty older home into a livable, even cozy winter retreat. Each method reinforces the idea that careful planning, layering, and use of natural thermal dynamics outperform reliance on high-tech gadgets. History provides us with tested, practical knowledge that can be applied immediately to modern survival, prepping, and even everyday winter living. If you found this guide valuable, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles for more in-depth historical survival insights. Like this video, share it with fellow history enthusiasts, and leave a comment describing which winter strategy you're most likely to try in your own home. Every tip you implement today can make a tangible difference in comfort and preparedness.